So we were just about to find B, and we could use a calculator on this, probably be quite helpful. If I add 1 to both sides, I get negative 0.064 equals negative 1 b cubed, or just negative b cubed, same thing. And then we would divide by negative 1, and b cubed equals 0.064. Then how do we get rid of the cube? Yep. Yeah, there is a cube root button in your calculator, but it's under the math, and then you have to push down. Or you could just do 0.064 to the 1/3. Remember, 1/3 is the same as cubed root. Just when you put it to the 1/3 power, make sure you put 1/3 in parentheses. And you should get b equals 0.4. So notice, just like the things up here that we discovered, b is indeed between 0 and 1, 0.4. A is less than 0. So our equation, it should be h of x equals negative 1 times 0.4 to the negative x plus 2 minus 1. And then, since I forgot to say this since I was recording at day 53, I'm not going to require that you do that. You can do it if you want to, as like a review, but you don't actually have to do it. Okay, next is the graph of f of x. This one is an actual graph. So we know that if we're given a table, there's a bunch of things we can figure out from the table, including sometimes, if you're given enough information, you can figure out the equation. Same thing within a graph. So tell me something you know just from looking at the graph. It's growth. Okay, this is a growth function because it's going up.
A is less than 0.
A is less than 0. You're right. How do you know that?
Because it's below the horizontal. The graph is below the horizontal line.
Because graph is below horizontal asymptotes. That means it had to be flipped across the x-axis. That means it had to be negative.
Horizontal asymptote is 3.
Horizontal asymptote is y equals 3. So what's C then?
C is positive.
It's positive, and what is it?
3.
3. Yeah. That means the number added on the end is positive 3. Okay, so how many reflections then, if A is less than 0, and you see that x is positive here, how many reflections do we have? 1. Yeah, just the A is less than 0 because that's a negative. And there's not a negative in front of this X. So if it has one reflection and its growth, then we got to figure out, is B bigger than 1 or between 0 and 1? You might have to go back and look at those notes. What do you remember? Say that again. It is with one reflection between 0 and 1. And I'm going to go back up just so we can have those. Oh, I think it went up far. Yes, it did. There it is. Oh, no, I didn't go far enough. There it is. So, if it's a growth and it has one reflection, it's between 0 and 1.
I was thinking of decay.
Yep. And if it's growth and it has no reflections or 2 reflections, then it's greater than 1. If you'll just memorize one of these, like the growth ones or the decay ones, then the other one's the opposite. So. There it is. Okay, I think that is enough now. Yeah, that we can figure out A and B. So I know the equation is f of x equals A times B to the x plus 2 plus 3. Now the first thing we want to do is get the exponent of b to equal 0, because that will get rid of b and help us figure out what a is. So what can I plug in for x to get rid of, to make the exponent of b 0? Negative 2. How am I going to figure out what f of negative 2 is? Yeah, just look at the graph. Even though we don't have a table, we can still figure it out. F of negative 2 is right there at 2. So this is 2 equals a times b to the 0, which is 1, plus 3. So what's a? Negative 1. Which we said it should have been less than 0. It should have been negative because it was below the horizontal asymptote. So now we have f of x equals negative 1 times b to the x plus 2 plus 3. Now we got to figure out what b is. To do that, I'm going to need another xy point from this graph, one that's exactly on a corner. Yeah, right here. That one's on a corner. So when x is negative 6, y is negative 2. F of negative 6 You could have left that negative 1. I just automatically just made it negative b. We know f of negative 6 was negative 2, is that right? Okay. Negative 2 is negative b minus to the negative 4th, plus 3. What do we do? Yep, subtract the 3. So you get negative 5 equals negative